Hi everybody, welcome to the Chats with Children. It's a bit cloudy this afternoon in Sutton here in Surrey, but I'm delighted to brighten my day to talk to Sarah Lintern, who is event director for the cell and gene portfolio, or cell and gene therapy portfolio, I should say, at Informa Connect, who has just finished running an event this week. So she's looking very fresh, actually, given that, which was the cell and gene therapy bioprocessing and commercialization event. I got it right. So Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm good. I'm glad that you said I looked fresh. I don't feel fresh, but yeah, no, everything's good, thank you.
Excellent. Well, you're looking fresh. And if people don't know, Sarah's actually in Boston this morning. So she's actually kind of got up early to have a chat with me. Not that early, though, to be honest. It's now
No, it's all right. It's 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock.
it's not that. And I just found out that she's actually a fellow South Londoner as well. So I'm very delighted to talk to her because we've got a bond already. So Sarah, first of all, how are you? How did the event go this week?
Yeah, good. I think it went well. I mean, going into these things, you're never sure what they're going to be like. And this was my personal first virtual event in our portfolio. So a bit nervous before it started and unsure how it was going to work. But I think it went well. The feedback we've received so far has been positive and people enjoyed the event. So, that's all we can ask for at this point, given, the limitations on what we can do.
That's very true. Well, let's
Yeah.
before we talk about the event and some of the highlights that people can learn about. Perhaps you tell people, obviously, what was the decision-making process in terms of going virtual and what the challenges you've had as an organizer. Because I don't think people always appreciate how difficult it is to have convert a live event to a virtual, and what the challenges have been and what you've done to overcome those challenges.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure everyone can appreciate that working in conferences at the moment isn't quite the role that maybe we had 12 months ago. But I guess, when we were looking at our events for 2020, well, in February, for example, when this all kicked off, we were all thinking by September we would be back to face, and I don't think anyone realized the sort of seriousness, or not the seriousness, but how long this whole thing would go on for. So for us, it's been a case of we've had to really quickly work to sort of flip our events to virtual and to still provide that platform for the industry where they can sort of meet and still benefit from the content and the connections in some way that they would have had at a face-to-face event. So for us, it's been really strange because flipping from a face-to-face event and going virtual, as I'm sure everyone listening or everyone that's been attending the virtual events knows, you're not getting the same experience. It's sort of apples for pears, and it's very, very different. And it's been a case that we've been trying to look for the best platform, the best way we can provide the content and still deliver that, and still provide the same experience. So it's been a challenge in loads of ways, mainly operational in terms of just the actual logistics of moving from face to face to virtual. I have to say that the industry has been super supportive. All of my speakers have been incredible. All of them pretty much committing to the virtual as opposed to face, which I think is great, and it shows how committed they are to the industry as a whole. So there's been a lot of positives to take from it, but it hasn't necessarily been easy. It's been very different, I would say.
Right. Well, let's talk about the event which just finished, the cell and gene therapy event which just finished this week. What were some of the highlights for you then in terms of the speakers and some of the content that was discussed at the event?
So I think for me, as I just said, a lot of our big speakers, willingly reconfirmed for the live event. And when we were putting together the agenda, well, when I was looking at the agenda, I sort of thought, let's put most of the content on demand and people can digest that as and when they want. And let's just keep our keynotes as what the live content is. So let's only have 4 or 5 hours a day of live content, because, by this stage, what we're in October, people have had 7 months of Zoom calls and virtual life. So I personally didn't think anyone was going to sit and look at their screen for 8 hours of content. So, we just took the key panels that we thought would be better performed live, and then that's what we did. So, for me, I think when we kicked off the week with the panel looking at what the cell and gene therapy industry are doing with regards to COVID, I loved that. I thought the panelists worked amazingly together. We had lots of questions, and obviously it's a super hot topic at the moment. So for me, that would be one of my key highlights. And then, we also had some interesting panels looking at investment. And then also, the whole debate around, manufacturing in the space or the future, whether that's auto or allo. And, one of my other, I suppose my second key highlight was yesterday, we sort of wrapped up the whole event with a panel that had Bluebird and Kite on it, speaking about autologous manufacturing. And, given that it was sort of one of the last panels of the week, we had so many questions and such good engagement, and to hear from those companies, I think was just great. So yeah, the live content and also the on demand, but for me, I enjoyed seeing that there was still the engagement there. You were still getting the questions, and the audience were, they were present.
That's good. It's good to hear. So,
Yeah.
having experienced your first virtual event as a conference organizer, what do you see the future being for events? I mean, I know a lot of people are hoping, that events will be back live and running in the first half of the year. I personally would question that, given the current situation with vaccines and the way people are. I think realistically, you're looking at maybe the second or even the third or even the fourth quarter when you'll get live events coming back, really. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, but I just think we've got to look at these things as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
But where do you see the future for live events and the use of virtual events in conjunction with live events?
It's such a difficult question. Like you said, we're planning for next year and trying to work out, do we go into 2021 and, do we go straight off the bat saying it's going to be virtual? When do you draw that line of, okay, maybe people will start going back to face-to-face events? Like, that's a very hard line to draw and to understand. I think we have a luxury. It's not a luxury, but we're lucky in the life sciences industry that, what people are doing is never going to lose its importance, right? Sure. Everything they're doing, I mean, look at COVID, look at the vaccines, look at the therapies they're developing. Like, everything that they do is always going to be really important and really cutting edge. Sure. And I think, especially for my industry and cell and gene therapies, because although the industry's been around for a while, like, it is still a new therapeutic class, and there's always going to be that need for meeting and networking and, those face-to-face events. So I think we're fortunate that, when we can go back to face-to-face, that will still be a thing. Like, that will still be an important part of the industry. But I think what we have to be aware of is, for this foreseeable future, we're going to have to completely look at events in a totally different way. Like, it's not like people are going to wake up one day and go, great, let's go to a conference. It's all going to go back to normal. And I think it's going to be a case of, we're going to have to work with hybrid models for a long time. And that's where virtual will still play a really important role. The content will be virtual, but there will also be that face-to-face component. And whether it always stays that way, I don't really know, or whether it migrates back to fully face-to-face. Everyone's going virtual in every industry, so that's always going to have a place. I think our hands were forced a lot earlier than maybe we wanted them to be because of the pandemic. So,
well, it's true, and unfortunately, crises like this often force people to move ahead with technology a lot sooner than they wanted to. But in some ways, it forces people to actually start to do things they perhaps were putting off for a long time as well. And so you start to see, hopefully, new developments. Great. Well, I don't have any more questions for you, actually. I'm going to let you off easy, actually, in this instance.
Wow, I feel lucky.
But no, so there's some more events coming up, though, from Informa Connect for the rest of the year, aren't they? So perhaps you can just flag out some of the events which are coming up later in the year.
Oh, gosh, you're putting me on the spot. So for the rest of this year, in a couple of weeks, we've actually got our next generation CAR and T-cell therapy event, as well as our next generation protein therapeutic summit. We've got our Tides Europe meeting, which is going to be held virtually. We've got a meeting that's also taking place. And I don't know what else is left this year. We're sort of near the end of the year, aren't we? It's nearly November. So I think those are the main ones I would flag.
All right.
And then we go into 2021.
Exciting. And has your plan, your event schedule already come out now for 2021 in terms of what the events are?
I don't think we've released sort of a formal schedule, but on the event websites, all of the dates that we have confirmed are up there. And, for the first half of the year, or at least the first quarter, we've made, the decisions regarding virtual and that kind of thing, i.e. they're pretty much going to be virtual. So yeah, the event websites are all up to date, but we haven't sort of released a full agenda, I'd say, as of yet.
Brilliant. All right. Well, I will put a link to the Informa Connect page so people can have a look at what events are coming up in the near future, and also for Tides and some of the other events as well that you mentioned, so that if you are interested in finding out what those events are like and registering for them, I'm sure Sarah will be delighted that you did that. So I will put those links up there so you can have a look and find out more about those events as well. So Sarah, it's lovely to catch up with you. It was the last time I saw you was actually in Amsterdam for Tides Europe. almost this time last year. So it's a shame we can't see each other in person, but
I know.
we've still got Zoom, so at least that's better than nothing. So
I know.
maybe we'll catch up in person sometime in the near future. Who knows? But
I hope so. I hope
until
so.
then, enjoy your time in Boston. And
Thank you.
have a lovely day. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found that interesting. And as I said, if you're interested in Sarah's events, check them out on the links above the video. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.